Hey, it's Newbies to Movies. I'm Tyler,
And I'm Justin.
and this is a podcast where we talk about new movies that we watch for the week. And this week's theme is monster movies. But first, we're going to talk about what else we've been watching for this past week other than the two movies that we will get into. I'll start. Still watching Task. I haven't watched the newest episode that came out Sunday, but so far, so good. Mark Ruffalo really plays an interesting character. Really look forward to the last two episodes. Finished off Peacemaker. That finale pissed me off. I was hyping up the show. The show was going so good. Now
I haven't watched it, but everybody's like, why was James Gunn hyping it up so much?
Yeah. All hyping it up like these cameos are going to happen. And then instead we get like a half a concert for like the last episode. And I'm just like, what is going on? Such a disappointing finale. Yeah. And then this weekend, a little tight on watching anything else because I went to a music festival, country music festival. It was really cool. Got to see Noah Kahan, Casey Musgraves, Ray Clay Strays, Sam Barber, a bunch of different other country artists. Really cool. Got to meet a bunch of the artists and have them like sign my cowboy hat. Whoever's watching the video, pretty cool thing that really was cool for me. Did that in Salt Lake City and just drove back today. And then watched The Host right before this.
Yeah, I finally finished Marvel Zombies, the short series. I thought it was pretty good. I was kind of disappointed because they just kind of ended it with like Scarlet Witch kind of making her own reality again, which is weird that they've done it twice in TV shows with WandaVision and this. So it's kind of like, well, what was all that for if we're just going to have the same thing happen again? But the characters were interesting. I think it was cool. You had like crosses between some characters in this universe. So specifically, I loved Blade and Moon Knight. Obviously, like Mark Spector as Moon Knight died. So Khonshu like found Blade and took him as his like avatar. It was pretty neat. There was like some different characters like that mixed in, but I need to get into Peacemaker now and looking forward to Gen V as well, the Boys spinoff series.
Yeah, I've been keeping up with Gen V. I haven't watched the newest episode. So far, it's just as good as the first season, I would say. They're integrating more into like the boys world, which is pretty cool to see. Yeah, I like it so far. It's not as like the boys like nasty stuff, even though there is some stuff and you're just like, well, there it is. They just sprinkle in like some crazy work and you're like, well, I'm looking forward to the new boys season coming out though.
Yeah,
as well
that
as
should be good season, right?
Yep. As well as I'm really looking forward to Stranger Things finally ending in the next 2 months. But
I'm a little nervous. Every episode seems like a whole movie.
Yeah. They said every episode's over an hour and the finale is apparently 2.5 hours. And I'm like, all right, do TV shows just not exist anymore? We're just going to do movies now? Or
8 movies.
But, yeah. Those poor actors finally being released. Cool. So getting into our theme for the week, it was monster movies with the two movies that we picked being The Host, 2006 version, the Korean version, probably way better than the American version that isn't actually about a monster. It's about some other like dystopian world. And then Nosferatu, which came out like 2 years ago, based off of like a 1922 film. So made by Robert Eggers. Monster movies themselves, I think they're a really interesting concept because when we get into the draft, a monster could be themed about a lot of different things because you got like werewolves, fires, kaijus, but then you also got like human versions of monsters that you could also count. What do you think of monster movies?
Yeah, I like monster movies because you're typically putting like really, really like monstrous themes, no pun intended, into a character that, you know, sometimes seems undefeatable. I like monster movies when they're done well, but they can really fall flat on their face, as we've seen many times before, specifically with like the Universal universe. You know, Dracula, Frankenstein, The Mummy, all those have really fallen on their face a couple times in the past 20, 30 years compared to the originals. So hopefully they can do something with that. I think you have to make the human characters connect with the monsters themselves in a way. And sometimes that can be a tough touching point.
Yeah. I definitely agree because it's just like scary movies where if it's not done well, you kind of just miss out on the plot. And with monster movies comparatively, they try to just get after like the factor. For example, like probably the newest like mainstream Godzilla and King Kong movies, like a lot of those, I think they're just going off the fact that like CGI and how well they look rather than actual plot and well told stories, which we'll
Well,
get
and then
into.
you take that and you compare it to like Godzilla minus one, right? And
Yeah.
there you have like such deep human characters with really like tough themes involved in them. And that did so well, right? Like, so it's just kind of how you balance the plot, regardless of what monsters you're involving.
Yeah, exactly. There's another one, Wolfman, that came out in the last year. I haven't even seen it, but I've just heard such bad reviews because it's about a werewolf, but like apparently it's just them running away from a werewolf the whole movie, but like nothing else. There's like no dialogue. It's just jump scare after jump
Yeah.
scare. But yeah. So we'll get into the first one that we'll do is The Host. So it's a 2006 Korean-based film, almost entirely in Korean. So you have to read subtitles for it. It's on Hulu currently. So if you're interested in it, um, I highly recommend it. The director is Bong Joon-ho, who also did Parasite, the new Mickey 17 movie, Memoirs of Murder. He's like probably renowned as like a top 10 director currently, is what I've been reading up on. And I love Parasite. Parasite's like a top 10 movie for me all time. So it doesn't surprise me that this was pretty good too.
Yeah. I haven't seen Parasite yet, but there's definitely like some really deep themes in this movie. I know like it can be looked at as kind of a satire movie too, but it was really good.
And it's the first, like, Parasite was the first Korean film to win Best Picture and him winning Best Director as well. So I think that was really cool. And this was like his third movie. The Host was his third movie. Memories of Murder was his second one. And then you've seen Snowpiercer by him as well. Yeah, I was really excited for all of his new stuff. Mickey 17 I liked, not as much as like some of his other movies, but I still think he's a really exciting director himself. And I think this movie really just showed like how well he progresses as a director himself, because this movie is based off of all he got the idea was that people saw like a weird looking creature in the Han River. And then he just took that and ran with it and made this entire movie off of that idea.
Yeah, that's
So I thought that
crazy.
was, yeah, especially because at first I thought this movie was like not going to be that deep because I was like, oh, this main character, Song Kang Ho, is who plays him. And I was like, oh, he's kind of stupid playing this stupid guy. But then it gets like super deep and you're like, oh, wow, like this is some context to it.
Yeah.
So getting into it with the plot, I gave it an 8 out of 10. I really appreciated it, like how right away they just showed the monster. They talked about it. A lot of directors that now do that with their monster movies all refer back to this as being their inspiration, because it used to be you don't show the monster until like to the back half of the film. This just throws it
Yeah.
right at you, right in the first 10 minutes. It's like, yep, here it is.
I think there's something to be said for that too, because now you know what it is and now you know what's coming. I know like the whole idea behind Jaws was like the fear of the unknown, but also now we've seen so many of these monsters. I want to know what's coming. I want to know what's going to happen, and I want to know what to be scared of. I think that was a big part of this film. You knew what it was and what it was capable of, and now you just had to watch out.
Yeah. And it's probably one of the ugliest creatures I've seen in any of these creature movies, which makes sense considering it was made pretty much out of chemicals in a lab and stuff. But yeah, it was so ugly. But then you get into how it starts off with like, because he also talks about how it's a satirical film going against like the United States, like military and like being carelessness. It's supposed to be basically satire, not him actually going after the United States government, but more of like making a joke that like they would probably try to hide something like that if it did happen. Um, but also he referred it to like Iraq and like kind of a satire towards like how like they covered some chemicals during that time. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
And then you also like, you start off monsters right there. And then it gets into like how the government is using this virus as like kind of a hoax thing to really like just scare the public to really hide it. but then the family just keeps going through like the most treacherous things. And then the climax was really like fulfilling, I feel like, in a way of like just really cool to watch, but also like the way they killed the monster as like kind of a family.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I with the like the hoax was really interesting because you were at a certain point and you were kind of like, should I be more scared of the virus or the monster itself? And then you started questioning, should I be more scared of the humans trying to capture this monster or should I be more scared of the monster?
Yeah. And then like sadly it ends with like Hung Sao, like the young daughter dying, but then the way she died, she saved another like the young boy. So that was like really interesting. And then the way it ends with like him being careful about what's out in the snow, but then like them just eating together. I don't know. I feel like that was like such a simplistic but like perfect ending to that kind of movie.
It was pretty perfect because obviously you see that now his guard is up and he's kind of reserved, but he's still enjoying life instead of sleeping it away like he was before.
Yeah, it starts off with him sleeping, being a lazy bum, not being probably the best father, and then seeing how well like he changed his hair, actually like looks like he showers, and that looks like he takes care of himself by the end of the film, cooking him like a whole meal instead of giving like what he gave his daughter a beer right at the beginning. So seeing how like
Yeah.
that, even though that crazy experience that he can't even control still like changed him for the better. Cause like at the end of the day, like none of that was his fault. All that happened. It was just a crazy monster.
Yeah.
And he honestly did what most fathers would do, like went all out trying to kill that monster. It's still crazy. Now getting into characters, I gave it 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed like all like the family oriented part of it. So you got like the lazy dad, and then his brother's like a political activist, and then his sister is a world-renowned athlete trying to win archery who choked. And then like they really caring fought like the grandfather or the father of the three of them, and then the daughter who is fighting the whole time. What do you think?
Yeah, all the characters were really fleshed out. I feel like this is what I was kind of getting to with monster movies a little bit earlier. Is like when you have this giant creature, you have to tell so much about its backstory, but they did such a great job about actually fleshing out the human characters. I cared about all of them throughout the whole movie, and that's what made this movie good, not necessarily caring about the monster.
Yeah, because I think with this kind of monster, you don't need to give too much backstory because they did right at the beginning. They're like, well, like this thing is just made out of a lab pretty much. And then
This
they
is it.
really gave the human more and more
Yeah.
without showing any flashback scenes. You got all you needed from each character just by like their own conversations. Yeah. Now getting into acting, I gave it a 10 out of 10 because I think this is probably one of the most well acted. I think this is a really hard film to like act in. The way that the CGI was back in 2006 probably, and looking at the budget for the film, it was good, but I'm pretty sure Korean CGI was not the best. Like you could see with the monster, it didn't look absolutely the
Yeah.
craziest. So acting that
Yeah.
way,
It
you can go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it looked really bad at some points.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But I don't think that's anything against like them. Like the way the movie was made was probably just whatever production they had at that point.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Transformers was made like 2 years after this, and we all know how good Transformers looks. But the acting itself was really well right at the beginning, and then you could see him transforming himself. Like specifically, want to call out Park Gang or Song Kang Ho is like his actor's name. He's also in Parasite. He's also in Memories of Murder, and he is really good in all three. And it's crazy that he only does Korean films because I wish he would like, cross over and try to do some American more films. But yeah.
I looked and I think he made a brief appearance in Snowpiercer as like a
Okay.
background person, just because, he's always with him, the
Yeah.
director. So that was kind of cool to me.
Yeah. I was surprised he wasn't in Mickey 17 at all. Like, because they just worked together almost all of his movies. And he's like one of the main uh, characters or main actors in all of his movies. I'm getting into cinematography. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I think it was all shot well, other than like the monster scenes, because it's just looked very 2006 to me. So you can't give it like too
Yeah.
good of a score based off of that fact. But yeah, I don't think there's much else to talk about cinematography other than like, because I've never been to Korea, so I can't talk about how well it represents it. Everything I've read up says it looks exactly like that. They like the scenes, like the mini marts, part scenes, and then like the Han River being included because they did film right on the Han River. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I
And
think
then
one thing I'd add to the cinematography is there was like really good tone shifts. It would go from being kind of like a dark, like monster movie to like a comedic, like family drama kind of thing sometimes. And I thought that was a pretty good feat to accomplish in this movie. I mean, to kind of balance both that well was really good, especially when it comes to the cinematography.
yeah. And the difference I could tell in like some of the action scenes is almost every time the monster would hit one of the family members or like throw them, it would like slow down and then like jump cut scenes to like either blank empty and then back to them, blank empty back. And I thought that was interesting, like a cinematography decision as well. Compared to I think a lot of American movies don't
Hmm.
do that very well. Not getting into dialogue, I gave it 8 out of 10. Specific call outs to like the school gymnasium scene where they have like all the pictures of all the lost ones and then them all like losing their mind to each other, but then like blaming each other. But it feels like very emotional at the same time. Uh, yeah, I thought that dialogue is like a specific scene that I wanted to.
Yeah, the dialogue was good. It was also kind of funny just seeing them all sitting on the ground rolling around crying. I was like, oh, they're really going for the, really being sad part here.
Yeah, but then like I think us as like an audience knows that she's probably still alive because they're like, no way you just kill off the little girl right at the beginning. Like that would have been a wild choice. I was like, where would the movie go from here if you just killed her off right away? So like knowing that without even reading up on it before, I already had a feeling that she was still alive. So I think that's why I added some comical fact, especially with like them trying to kick each other. But and then yeah, especially the opening scene of like when he has like the beer, giving it to like the random people right before the monster comes, and then they like chuck it at him and all that kind of stuff. I thought that was like pretty funny. Now getting into sound effects, I gave it an 8 out of 10. I think a lot of it added well to like the action sequences. I don't think like a soundtrack wise, it was like anything crazy special, but I think they used good moments of like intense timing of like music, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. I think the monster sounded good too. Um, and especially like the final fight scene, I thought all the sound effects were really good, with the fire, with the gas, with the monster. It was probably a lot going on, but it all worked well together.
I totally agree. Now getting into the set design, gave it a 6 out of 10. I think again, it was decently well, just nothing like crazy special, I would say about it that I was like, you know what? Yeah, this is like a top tier, like set design or anything. I think it was just interesting. Placing in like real life places and all like that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, the repetitiveness of the sewer system stood out to me. Just made it feel, when they were searching that they were going in circles. But there was a few times, when you run into the little boy, stuff like that, you see that one entrance that's looking out to the bridge. It's like, oh, okay, I know where I'm at here. And then it cut to another place and you're like, I'm lost again. And this is, I imagine, how they were feeling in there.
Yeah, for sure. I think the whole sewer system, like with the fact that like she was the only one that lived and he did, um, this is not more on the set design, but just like an interesting thought that like all the adults didn't survive the monster like taking them, but the two kids did, which is like just interesting. I wonder if like the creature, like if the human or if like the adults just like knew how to fight more and maybe they weren't passed out. And that's why like
Hmm.
maybe the monster like crushed them at that point. I
Yeah.
don't know. I think it's interesting to think about.
Or maybe they were like, because she was like holding them in their mouth, in its mouth. So maybe they were like too tall. They were already deep enough in to like die.
Okay. No, yeah, that would make sense too.
I don't
Cause
know. Just a thought.
yeah, yeah. Because it is interesting that only the two kids like were surviving that, and none of the adults. And then you
Yeah.
like have them living through that, and then the most nasty scene was like the monster like spilling out all the bones like right on them, pretty much. I was like, oh,
Yeah, that was
that's
sick.
yeah. I can imagine if that was like made today and like made it look really realistic. I'd be like, all right, this is like a little too far. This is like getting into like
And then he
kind of
spit out the beer can.
Yeah.
He spit out the beer can that she was like wishing for, and I was like, she's never gonna want beer again.
How old do you think she is in this movie? I don't know if it ever says that or if I ever found it, but
Maybe
like,
like 10,
yeah,
11.
I bet he handed her a beer. Like, it's like, all right. It's like, all right. I don't think that's normal for Koreans, but maybe it is. So that was interesting. Getting into directing, gave it a 9 out of 10. I could see where this film kind of leads to like his masterpiece of Parasite and how well like he cuts scenes and directs them in a certain way. I could see it here and where it's leading up to like just getting better for him. Yeah. It's probably one of my favorite directors that now I want to go watch like his other films that I haven't seen.
Good you. I want to watch more. I've only seen Snowpiercer and this, so I really need to
Yeah.
get in on him. Maybe we'll do him one week.
Yeah. Maybe we have to do specifically just Bong Joon-ho just to call out
Yeah.
Parasite for finally. Yeah. But I think there's not much else to talk about. And then he's awesome. He's been nominated. Like he's one of the main Korean directors that gets nominated a bunch by the Academy for a reason. He's won multiple Cannes like film festival awards as well. And a lot of people like call him out as giving inspiration to like their specific films. Trying to figure out something because I found somewhere where people were specifically calling them out.
I saw we might have seen the same thing. I saw John Krasinski kind of call out this movie specifically as inspiration for A Quiet Place. I
Yep.
thought that was kind of cool.
And J.J. Abrams said for Cloverfield and Super 8. Yeah. Yeah. John Krasinski, he also did.
Yeah, it's pretty high praise.
Yeah. They were all like, yep, pretty much we did it based off of like his ideas, the way they cut scenes. And you could see it actually. Like the way that this and like The Quiet Place looks, the way they cut to the monsters and back, I thought were very similar. Now getting into editing, I gave it 8 out of 10. Same idea. The way they cut in between scenes and really add suspense through their editing, I thought was really cool.
Yeah, the only thing I would knock here, obviously, just because we have to, is the monster. Like the CGI isn't great, but obviously that's just for the time. And it wasn't like bad at all points of the movie. It was just bad at some certain spots. You could really tell. Like the beginning scene, I was like, oh, this movie's going to be terrible. Like this monster's going to look so bad. And then it started like, it left my head after like the first 20 minutes. I was like, oh, this isn't that bad.
Most of the bridge scenes, like if it was under a bridge with like a sky background, that's where it usually looked the worst, in my opinion. Or like any sky background, I think that's where it probably did. But like all the sewer scenes where it was just like a closer area, it looked pretty good. And then getting into theme, I gave it a 9 out of 10 because I think it's more than just like a normal monster movie. And like, I think it's named The Host as like, I don't think the monster is really talking about the host. I think the host is talking about like the Korean government, the US government, and this father himself, and like how they take in stuff, if that makes sense. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, so I've actually read somewhere, and I might be misquoting, but I was reading that basically the title in Korean doesn't translate to the host. It's something completely different. So he gave the host its name because it was opposite of Parasite, is what I was reading. Now, this was Wikipedia, so I don't know how true it is, but kind of interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, I think it definitely can be interpreted a bunch of different ways. So, but I think overall, I think it's talking about the host as like a bunch of different perspectives, not just the monster itself. I would be interested to like
Who's
see
really the monster?
Yeah. And then seeing what stretch you can go for family. And then like when you like believe in the government, you grown up to believe it because really this family had no reason not to believe in the government at any point. And then pretty much the government turns on them. And like, how do you take that as a people that like, honestly, they didn't seem like they were really crazy advocates against them. They really seemed like, okay, I just own this shop and that's it. And then them having to like turn around and pretty much fight the government to get back like the daughter, I thought was also an interesting theme itself.
Yeah. And then, I mean, you have the sea creature. Is he the monster? Are the governments the monster? Is the dad who gives his 11-year-old a beer, is he the monster? We don't know.
Yeah. Now, what was your favorite scene?
My favorite scene, I think, was probably when it was probably the bone scene, because at that point we hadn't like understood much about the monster. Is he just swallowing these people, digesting them, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, he's got like weaknesses too. Like obviously he can't hold on to all this. There's something that we can get him with.
Uh, okay, interesting. I think mine.
Plus, for the humans, it was like deeply, deeply terrifying to watch that
Yeah,
the little girl.
I think my favorite scene was the school scene where like with all of them, and then the brother and daughter finally meet up with them right after like the whole incident, the beginning incident, and then. But a close second is like the final scene. I don't know what it was about that, like the snow coming down, and then just eating a meal, and then like him acting like the father that he probably should have acted like before. So I thought that was
Yeah,
also a
it
really
was
cool
deep.
scene. Yeah. Um, who's your favorite character?
I think I'd have to say the granddad. He was very
Okay.
interesting to me because he was always defending his son because of his, what it sounded like, traumatic childhood. But
Hmm.
at the same time, he wanted him to get his butt in gear and learn to be a better father as well. And he eventually, I think, taught him that.
Yeah, it's hard for me because it's like really close between Hong-soo or Gang-do, the father and daughter. I would have to go with the daughter though. I thought she was like really
Hmm.
interesting, sacrificed her life really for the other without ever really knowing him before, and just being like a true fighter through and through. So I think that yeah, she was my favorite character by far. Um, okay, now getting to the rating. I gave this movie a 8.5 out of 10. I gave it a pretty high rating. Yeah. I really liked it, even though I kind of sped watched it,
I
but right
gave it
before
a
this.
I gave it a 7.8, a little bit lower, but I still enjoyed it. I think there's like some small things that I could nitpick for days about, but like at the end of the day, it's a really good movie and I recommend it.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend this to anyone that's listening. It's on Hulu. Even if you don't like reading subtitles, which I know a lot of people complain about, like, oh, I don't want to watch a movie if I just have to read the whole time. I would still say give it a chance because you'll be surprised by films, especially international films. I think I've been surprised by almost every one like that I've been recommended to, and I'd be like, okay, yeah, I should probably watch this before.
Yeah.
Now getting into the next one, Nosferatu. So Justin, you could take the way.
Yeah. Everybody buckle up for a flat ride, I guess. I don't know. This movie, I was like talking to everybody about this and I was like hearing so much hype about this when it came out. I think it was last year. And I don't know. It just kind of fell flat to me, but I'll just get started with it. For plot, I gave it a 4. Obviously, it's set in the 1830s. So, from what I understand, it's a direct remake of the original Nosferatu. Um,
It's
you have
it's his
the,
own take on it,
go ahead.
but it's
Okay.
it's Robert Eggers like own pretty much straight adaptation, but like he filmed it in his way that he wanted to, which we can get into once we get into the
Yeah. So you have the real estate agent, Thomas Hunter. He travels to Transylvania to meet with Count Orlok to, sell him a home. And then in his absence, his bride is, left under the care of his friends. And she is like, constantly talking to Orlok about some deal that she made with him in her past. I thought it was frustrating specifically with the plot that Orlok's whole stick was that she had to submit to him willingly, but then he would like literally hold her friends' lives hostage to force her to submit. I'm like, that's not willingly. You're
yeah
you're doing it to make her
yeah
submit to you. I didn't really understand that. That kept falling flat for me.
yeah. Maybe I shouldn't really understand. Like, I guess like she gave up like right at the beginning. I was paying attention to that, but I didn't really understand. Like, did she like just like was she that lonely that she just like gave herself up, and then it jumps to like her being married to this new guy, and then what was happening in between that time? Did Count Orlok just be like, let me chill, or did she just like wait an opportunity, or like I was confused by that. The opening scene itself, I was just like, boy, I got to buckle in for this movie because I was just like, wow, that's a crazy opening scene.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely interesting. For characters, I gave it a 6. Specifically, I think Bill Skarsgård as Count Orlok was really good. Like he was fearful, he was, scary looking. Nicholas Holt's character Thomas, it kind of fell flat for me. Yeah, obviously, he cared about his wife the whole time, and he wanted to kill Count Orlok. The only really good scene I thought with him was when they were in the castle and he was about to sign the papers. I thought that was really good, and I thought that was the best part of the movie. And then obviously you have Lily Rose Depp as Ellen, character who's kind of plagued between the love triangle.
Yeah, these characters themselves, I think they're very frustrating. Other than Count Orlok, of course, because man's just trying to get some, I guess. Um, but yeah, the Hutters, Thomas and Ellen, they're really frustrating. And then Friedrich Harding, like the Harding family, I'm like, dude, like poor Aaron Taylor Josh's character, just like the way the family died and all that. Like it's just so like you didn't believe them. By the time you did believe them, it's pretty much game over. But yeah, I don't know. I found these characters
Yeah.
really frustrating.
And then Willem Dafoe is also in this. He's like a alchemist doctor, and he's the
Yeah,
only one in that whole city who somehow knows about the vampire coming.
yeah. I'm like, what?
Nosferatu.
And then they call him crazy, and then they're like, "Oh wait, no, this guy's probably on something." It's like, yeah, no shit, he's probably on something, guys. William Dafoe kills it in everything he does, though. So like, I wasn't surprised when he
Yeah.
was just out there out acting pretty much everyone else in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
no,
Bill
his character
Skarsgård,
felt the most real.
yeah, and then Bill Skarsgård always kills it. He killed it as Pennywise. He killed it as this. Um, Pretty sure he's coming back as Pennywise in the new It show, and I think he's playing another monster, like Frankenstein, maybe. No, not Frankenstein. He's playing somebody else, another
Yeah.
monster.
I know he's in something else coming up. I don't remember what.
But yeah, they
For cinematography, I gave it an 8. I think this was one of the best parts of the movie. I thought it was really interesting with the darkness. There was multiple times though where was like staring at the screen intently trying to see what was in the darkness and I couldn't find anything.
yeah,
The night scenes and sequences were great, but it was on the edge of being a little bit too dark for me to see. But it could have just been my TV and everything too. I've read a lot of reviews about theater, experiences, and they said it was pretty great.
yeah. That's what I was about to say. I think you have to watch this in the dark. You can't watch this during the light day. I think kind of just does the movie on injustice if you watch it like during the day. And then again in the theater, I can imagine this probably looked really cool because Robert Eggers is pretty known for how well his cinematography is.
Hmm.
I thought it was amazing. This is actually one of the nominations he got at the Academy Awards was for best cinematography, which it makes sense. Shout out to the scene where like his hand is going over the city. I thought that was really cool.
That did look really cool. And the shadow was kind of like, yeah, that was neat. There were some cool scenes like that, especially in the castle too. I thought everything looked really good in there. But for dialogue, I gave it a 6. Um, if you like old English movies, you'll think this dialogue was great, I'm sure. It just kind of was hard to understand sometimes. I had to turn on subtitles just so I could like kind of understand their wording and what they were trying to say. Just not my thing. That's all. Like, I understand that's like what some people really dig. And my favorite
Yeah.
quote was by Ellen, Professor, my dreams grow darker. Does evil come from within us or beyond us? That was the only deep quote I found in this whole movie. And I think that was kind of what brought this movie down.
Yeah.
But yeah, give me something like that. Let me think for a minute.
Yeah. I think so. Eggers he's only done like timepieces. I haven't seen The Lighthouse. I don't know if that's a timepiece or if that's just like I think it's a timepiece too, where like they all talk in kind of like older English ways. So I'm just interested in like, it's a very filmy type of movie, the way they talk, where if that makes sense, like a very artsy way rather than like just straight up being
Yeah.
like, what are you guys saying to each other? I had the same way where I was like, I understand like probably people really like that part of it. But again, I think you could do that and still have deeper talking points. Specifically with The Witch, which is the first movie he's ever done. I watched that and I understood like the dialogue a lot better, and it was a little bit deeper in that movie than it was in this movie.
Well,
So that's
I
like,
was going to mention too, We saw it in Poor Things. That was very, very old English, like style talking. And it was great. Like we
Yeah.
understood, had really deep conversations, but here it just really fell flat.
Yeah. Which, again, it's talking about like monster themes, how a vampire himself, like maybe it's not like a super dark or deep meaning, but like they could have gone more into like the family aspect about like fighting for someone you love, being scared of death. Like they could have got a lot more deeper than they did at first.
Yeah. Um, I think the highest category I scored was set design. I thought the city was great. I thought the castle was great. Very dark, like a maze. The castle was pretty much brilliant. I mean, dusty, nasty, ratty, any adjective you could think of, it was perfect. And it made Thomas feel so lost. That was like the biggest thing is obviously he was like, it seemed like he was drugged or something was going on, but he was just absolutely gone that whole time.
Yeah, it was really well done. I really like the set design. Again, that's something about Eggers. He apparently all of his movies, timepieces, it looks great. It looks exactly like what he's trying to portray with it, and he does it with this. Nominated for best production design and best set design. Yeah, and best makeup and hairstyling. Yeah, pretty, pretty looks pretty cool.
For acting, I gave it a 7. I said the acting was just fine. I don't think this is on any of the actors. I think when you have flat characters, you're going to have flat acting. I think Bill Skarsgård was really good as Count Orlok, but again, just want some more depth. He's such a dark and brooding character the whole movie, and I never got that much out of him.
Yeah, I think I would have to agree. I think the acting overall, like they did what they could with it because we've seen a bunch of them in other movies done well, like Nicholas Hoult. I think he's like a great side character in almost every movie he's ever been in. We saw him as Lex Luthor this year, Superman. He was great. Willem Dafoe, he's literally like awesome in everything he does. Bill Skarsgård, even Ralph Ineson and Aaron Taylor Johnson. Now, Lily Rose Depp, this may be like the peak for her because some of her other stuff apparently has not been received well. I don't think she's really set up to be in a lot of other movies because of how well or how bad her show with The Weeknd went. I don't know if you heard about that show at all, but it went pretty bad.
I didn't.
Yeah. It was like pretty hyped up, and then everyone's like, this is horrible. Yeah, this is by far her highest rated movie. Everything else is in like the 20% Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Which I don't even think she did bad. Like I don't
thought you were
know. I don't know
just
how.
tossing on her.
No. Every other movie is in the 20%. But I don't think she was bad in this. That's the thing.
Wow.
Like I don't know how else you play getting possessed other than that way. Like you got to go all out.
She was good. Yeah. And she displayed that accurately. I think everything going on around her, just there was nothing there to grab onto.
A little bit more substance as a character.
Yeah, for every character would have helped her a lot. And I think it just passes on from each character. For directing, I gave it a 6. Robert Eggers was fine, understanding that this is a remake. I think you can only go so far, I guess, but I think you can still add more depth. I'm just going to keep harking back on that, but there's room for more story points in there.
Yeah, I think I liked The Witch a lot. So I was a little disappointed that I didn't like this as much as that. I want to watch The Northman at some point because I've heard everyone says that's like a big movie that he really talks about as like being his next big thing or like his biggest movie. Then The Lighthouse, I heard Robert Pattinson and William Dafoe are great in that. And then Werewolf comes out in the next year, which has Aaron Taylor Johnson, Lily Rose Depp. So she's going to be in another movie with him, and then William Dafoe. So we'll see.
I just hope, like, what does this movie have on like Rotten Tomatoes and stuff? Do you know?
Which one?
Nosferatu.
84%, which I was surprised by.
Yeah. Yeah. See, they're not going to take any like criticism from it because they're like, oh, that was good. And they're going to do the same thing with Wolfman. Mark my word. Save this clip.
Probably will. The only thing is, Werewolf is not, I don't think it's adapted from anything. Let me make sure.
Yeah, so you can make a story out of it.
Which is like what he does well with. Like The Witch, The Lighthouse, The Northman is all stories he made. Nosferatu was an adaptation. So
So for soundtrack, I gave it a 7. I thought it was pretty good. I thought the sound effects were pretty great, especially with, Orlok coming in when he's, possessing people and he's just kind of, being brooding and tough. His voice sounded really good. I don't know what kind of editing went into that or if that was just Skarsgård. And then the soundtrack itself was fine. I think it was used well to build up the suspense of the movie.
Yeah, I think it was the sound with his voice, I think was Skarsgård mainly, with like probably like a little bit added in, but because you look back at like Pennywise and the way he would talk with Pennywise,
Yeah.
he probably went all out for this too, because that's just how he does his characters.
And then for theme, I gave it a 7. I felt like I really kind of had to dig. Obviously, with Willem Dafoe's character, you had the conflict of science and superstition. I always think that's kind of interesting. And then we have, the destructive nature of just progress and how progress and, these old times can kind of hold humans back. And then obviously we have like the struggle with Odin's dark desire with Orlok, and he just really wants to get some.
Yeah, I think I gave it. I like the theme. I think sacrifice was a big part too. I think Lily Rose's character, I think she's big about sacrifice, and then she ends up sacrificing herself for Thomas and the rest of the city, pretty much. Even though like the entire Hardy family already is dead, so it's kind of like, all right, it's a little late on them. I guess I just felt bad for the Hardy family at the end of the day. I was like, all right, you end up sacrificing yourself, but like this whole family's dead because of you guys. Like you guys just killed off like an entire generation. Are we just gonna flash over that fact? Yeah, and then also like I don't want to miss out on like the final scene. And I don't like I get that like this is adaptation of best stuff of that, but like for me that was just like a little too weird. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Like ending with him that's like sucking on her all night and then just dying from the sun. And like they had just had to show the body, and I was like, oh, all right. I'm not
Yeah,
even like
that was pretty
like
nasty.
yeah. I'm not even like that against gore. I think that was just like an unnecessary like why just why. Sorry,
Yeah.
just had to get.
No, it's okay. I felt the same way. For editing, I gave it an 8. I thought, this had really good shots. Like we were talking about the cinematography. They used something I learned in school called cross cutting to really build tension. And then the scene with Thomas and Count at the table signing papers was a great example. So they're like constantly cutting back and forth. And then obviously like that was where we first saw the signs of him being Nosferatu as he was moving around the table like extremely fast and the camera was cutting back and forth between the two. That just like
Yeah.
kind of subliminally builds that tension in your mind when you're watching this.
Mm-hmm. No, I think it was edited really well. Just like any like one-on-one scenes like that, I think it's really cool when they like pan the camera around and cut to each other. There's nothing crazy to say about the editing other than it's like it was good.
Yeah. And then so for my overall score, I gave it a 6.8 out of 10 or a 68.
Okay. Yeah. I gave it a 6.7 out of 10, so about the same. I think we
Yeah,
both weren't the biggest
right there.
fans of this movie. I think I wouldn't if I wouldn't give this as a recommendation, but if you're into like old English movies, I would recommend this to you. Like if you were like, yeah, like I like those kind of movies. Or if you just like vampire movies in general, I'd be like, you know what, you go ahead. I wouldn't recommend this to someone if they're just like looking for a good film, if that makes sense.
Dude, that was my thing. Like with this, I've never been into werewolves and vampires and Frankenstein and all that. I was like, I heard such good things. Like, I'm excited. I want to jump into this, like, like dark universe type thing. Just like fell flat for me. Maybe it's just not meant for me. I gave it my shot, I
Yeah.
guess.
But like a good example was like Sinners this year, right? A vampire movie that I think was done
Yeah.
so well.
Yeah.
And that's like an example of like a good like sci-fi movie that like the monsters themselves don't have to be the key part of it to make the story itself so good. So that kind of biased my way to being like, I see how a good how well a good vampire movie can be done. And then it just kind of misses with this one, I think. It being like completely good. Like, I think
think
there's some really good parts
I
to it,
think
but
yeah, I just think like with a lot of these movies, the monster itself should be the tension and not the entire plot.
mhm,
And I feel like
no,
that's what this movie didn't do. The entire plot was Count Orlok, and it just kind of fell flat because of that.
mhm, nah, I definitely agree. I think when we get into our draft, a lot of the movies that we're gonna be picking is like even though a monster is like what it's revolved around, it isn't like what's adding a lot of like the tension and the story plot development. So I think that's interesting too. Um, yeah. What was your favorite scene though?
Definitely that castle one. I kind of already, rambled on about it, but I thought it
Yeah.
was perfectly edited, perfect conversation, perfect fear involved. And I was excited because that was at the beginning of the movie, and I thought we were going to have that all the way through, but we didn't.
Yep. I want to say I think maybe just the shot itself of like the handover I thought was just really cool. They were hyping it up in the trailers and then
Yeah, that
like the
was
way it
neat.
evolved in the movie. I thought that was really cool. But I think the entire ship part of it was really cool actually. I think that was probably my favorite. Because there's a lot of like built up tension throughout it. You're like and then it shows like the light of Orlok, Count Orlok, like shows the light of him and he's right behind him, but he doesn't know. It's like a classic, like, oh, we see it, but you don't. And then it gets them, and I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into our draft now. So the draft that we are doing today, it's going to be Monsters draft. Now getting into like the categories that we decided on, it'd be box office, so over 100 million. Oscar, so it has to be Oscar nominated. A vampire movie, a large monster movie. I wish we can talk about if a large monster counts or not. And then a human, meaning like human is like acting like the monster in the movie. Again, we'll talk about if it counts or not for each other. And then wild card, which could be really any other type of movie that we could count. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I have a list of like all monster movies that I just have, but I probably for like box office, I should probably look up some stuff. But I kind of just wanted to do it real time and just, see what happens.
Yeah. Feel it out, man.
Yeah. So we'll do a random name selector to see who gets to go first. Okay.
Long spin.
Yep. Just keep giving me ads. I finally get to go first. Let's go.
Let's go. I was about to say, if you don't, people are going to be like, this is rigged.
Yeah. They're gonna be like, all right, we get it. Justin just gets to go first every time. All right. Think what I want to take is the movie Nope. I just want to see which category I want to take it in.
Yeah. Smart placement.
Yeah.
I will let you know that it is over 100 million, if that's what you're
Okay.
wondering. I checked that.
I wanted to see if it got anything from the Academy, like any love.
No, I looked it up and it said the first thing was a Reddit article. Somebody was like, all caps, how did it not even get nominated?
Yeah, that's insane. I love this movie.
I
I
liked it too.
rewatched it. I rewatched it this weekend and like 2 weekends ago. We watched it this week because I was in a hotel and it was like one of the only good movies on. So I was like, all right, even though I just watched this 2 weeks ago, I'm going to watch it again and
Yeah, it's good.
it hits. Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, but I'm taking it in box office then. Nope.
Yeah,
Directed
that's
by
good.
Jordan Peele. It's basically about an alien creature that is like living over this horse farm where these horses were used in movies. It's based around an idea of like how Black Hollywood, how they were still involved even back in the day when they weren't allowed to be actors, but they were still involved with the like production and all that stuff. Kind of dives deeper into that, and Stephen Yeun's in it as well as like a child actor, and you can see like how he's so obsessed. But then like there's just so many like deep parts to this movie that like, yeah, if we didn't already see it, we probably would have done it as one of the movies this week. But we both already saw it,
Yeah.
so pretty
I
sure we
think
saw
we
it
saw
together,
it
right?
together in theaters.
Yeah, yeah, we definitely did.
Yeah.
It's just so every time I watch it again, I get something else out of it that I didn't see before.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Kaluuya, so good in it as well. Waiting for Jordan Peele to announce he's going to do another movie. That's what I'm honestly just waiting for.
Yep. So for mine, I'm going to go ahead and get Large Monster out of the way. And I'm
Okay.
going to take Godzilla -1, the largest of
Yep.
them all.
I had a feeling that was going to be yours.
I think this is a top 10 movie for me. I really love this movie. I think that specifically what we were talking about earlier, I think the human characters are just as fleshed out as Godzilla. Plus, we don't need another Godzilla backstory. We've seen it 1,000 times, and they were not scared to, not get into that. I think this is one of the best monster movies there is.
Yeah. I really liked it too. I don't think I liked it just as much as you, but like I really liked this movie too. It's really hard to choose between this one and Nope for me. So, but went with one
Yeah.
that I usually rewatch a little bit more. But yeah, you're right. I had a feeling you were gonna pick this one for your first pick, no
Yeah.
matter what. Okay, it's your pick too.
Oh, I get to go again. I'm sorry.
Yep, Snake.
Let me go with vampire. I'm gonna go Bram Stoker's Dracula. I really like this movie. Everybody calls this the horny Dracula movie,
I haven't seen.
which they're not wrong. But I did watch this. This was the first movie I watched in my cinematography class in college, and this really like kicked like movies off for me. I've seen other movies at the time where I was like, oh, okay, I think like artsy people might understand this. But then I realized like anybody can like understand and love movies that they would have no interest in otherwise. So this movie did that for me, and I really enjoy this movie, and I need to go back and watch it because I haven't seen it in about a year or two.
I think I've seen this one. 1992.
Yeah, it's like regarded as the best Dracula movie, I would say. But
Is it? Yeah, it's the one with Gary Oldman.
Keanu Reeves and Gary Oldman.
It's weird because it's like Rotten Tomatoes is 69, which is one funny, but also, um, yeah, considering it's like a very horny movie. But I've heard like this is like hit or miss for people. Either people really love this movie or they really don't like this movie.
Yeah, no, definitely. And
Like
I think that's
production
okay.
itself was, apparently production itself was like really chaotic. Francis Ford Coppola. He also just did
Yeah.
Megalopolis, which was like a total like disaster, which also apparently had really bad production. So did Apocalypse Now. So maybe it's just him. He doesn't know how to run a set that well to where like the actors end up hating him.
Yeah.
But
It seems like he puts himself in bad spots a lot.
yeah, I think almost all the movies that he's done, other than Godfather, I haven't heard any bad set stories about that. All the other set stories I've heard have gone pretty bad. He also did Outsiders, which I didn't know that. Just learned that. Okay, gotta find an Oscar. Okay, first I'm gonna go with Vampire, and it's gonna be a movie from this year, which may seem like a recency bias thing, but it is currently still my favorite movie of the year, even after seeing one battle after another. I love Sinners. Sinners is awesome. It's crazy cool movie experience to see. I saw it in like a 4D chair. So like during like the music scene, it like revolved you around during it, and that was really cool.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's
That
neat.
like added to it. Yeah. And yeah, I rewatched it I watched it 2.5 weeks ago again, and I was like, yeah, dude, this movie still hits. Yeah. I would have taken an Oscar, but it hasn't been officially nominated for an Oscar yet, but it definitely will. It's going to get Best Picture nominated. It's probably going to get Best Director.
I hope it does. A lot of people are worried that it came out too early and they're just going to forget about it.
I think it will, because like there's always one movie that comes out a little earlier than the rest.
Yeah.
But it's going to be in a fight with one battle after another. I have a feeling one battle after another has so much steam right now to win a lot of awards.
Yeah.
But I just hope they get some recognition. Like at least get an original screenplay.
Yeah.
Ryan Coogler, everything he touches as well. Like I love almost all of his movies that he does. Now gotta find an Oscar movie. Jaws was, yep. Okay, good. If this wasn't nominated for an Oscar, I've been like, what the heck are we doing? Okay, I'm gonna go
Jaws
with
won.
Jaws because, again, one of the like original monster movies that wasn't just based off of like a fictional character.
Yeah.
Like, the shark itself is 100% a monster, and it's like hyping it up throughout this whole movie, being scared, and made people scared to swim in the ocean right after for like years. People probably still are.
Yeah.
Just because of this, even though there's like, I think there's been 20 shark attacks in like the last 40 years. So it's not a very common thing, but people, it's pretty scared about it. But yeah, there's not much else I could say. I think I drafted this in another one, the beach one, right? I think I
Yeah,
also
the
got
beach
this.
one. Yep.
So I love this one.
I'm going to go ahead here and take Quiet Place for box office over 100 million. I really like this movie. This was like, I'm not a big horror guy. I'll just put that out there. This movie is so great. And the sound design of this movie, I know, won an Oscar as well. So great. So well done. It was, the perfect small setting, but also on such a larger grand scale where, we see they're doing spin-offs and stuff like that. I haven't seen them yet, but the original was just so great and so well done.
Mm-hmm. I really like Quiet Place. Such a cool movie experience, like movie theater experience too. The first weekend it came out, like it was just dead silent in there. Not a single person was talking. Like I think for the first like 15 minutes, which is like such an interesting directing choice by John Krasinski. Like that could go so wrong so quick if it isn't executed right, but he executed it like perfectly. Perfect blockbuster movie too.
Yeah. I mean, you had to find a way to build the character development with no sound, which was
Mm-hmm.
such a bold way to go about doing that. And then obviously we talked about earlier how he took a lot of inspiration from The Host, the movie we watched this week. So I found that interesting too.
Yeah, then before this, he was just thought of as the guy from The Office. He's been in a couple other movies. And then he comes out with this, and everyone's like, oh, we see you. Okay. And then, yeah.
And then I'm going to throw you a curveball here, not in my wild
Okay.
card, but give me
Okay.
Oscar nomination, Monster Inc.
That definitely counts. I mean, it's the
Yeah,
monster.
of course it counts. It's in the title. Such a great movie. My childhood.
It's a good pick.
Everybody's seen this movie. So I'll tell a story my family always makes fun of. We went to Disney World one time and I was standing in front of the Monsters Bay doors and opened it up. And there's James P. Sullivan staring at me. And I went running, screaming like a little baby I was.
That's crazy. I can totally see your parents doing that. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But gotta love it. Another kid story of being terrified from monsters. I'm not picking this movie, but my sister showed my nephews Jurassic Park, not remembering that the dinosaurs eat people in it. And she's like, yeah, I just forgot how like actual like dangerous it is and how scary it is. And I was just like, yeah, how do you not remember that? And now the kids don't like, I don't want to be near dinosaurs anymore. They don't like dinosaurs really anymore. She's just petrified my nephews.
Yeah.
Okay. Now getting into mine. So I'll ask you a question. You haven't
All right.
seen Alien, have you?
No, I haven't. Or Predator.
I'm just wondering if that counts as like a large monster.
I think so. The Xenomorph?
Yeah. He's a pretty big
I
dude.
mean, he towers above humans.
Yeah.
I'd be, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll count it. I mean, that's a large monster. I mean, Godzilla is like the top of the totem pole for a large monster, I would think, or the monster from Nope. But yeah, that's still a large monster from our point of view.
Okay. Yeah. And then I'm going to take Alien, the original one too.
Yeah.
I really like this movie. I've seen all of them now. If I had to rank it, it's like Alien, and this will probably be pretty hot topic, but Alien Romulus is actually going to be my number 2, and then Aliens, and then the other ones, it's quite a drop off from there. But then you get into like Prometheus, Covenant, which Prometheus, I don't think it's a real alien movie, but whatever. It's like I don't know if you've heard about it, but Prometheus is like an origin story from Ridley Scott, where it's like low-key just about like God and like the creation. And I'm like, wait, why is this called an alien like origin story when it's straight up just like super religious? And I'm like, okay, this is wild. But the Alien movie itself is very originated in like theories about God and all that, which you wouldn't expect coming into it.
Yeah. I definitely need to watch that. And I also want to watch, the early Predator movies. I need to watch them all just all the way through so I can make my own opinion about them. Everybody's like, how did you not get into these?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely recommend the Aliens. Now getting into human. That's where I'm going to go because I'm going to leave wild card for the end. I am going to go with Seven. You've heard of Seven? Have you
I've
seen
heard
it?
of Seven. I haven't seen Seven. No.
So it's about, not to give up too much, it's about a serial killer who's kind of like playing with these detectives as he kills 7 people, and each of them counts for one of the 7 deadly sins. It's kind of what it revolves around. It has like a crazy twist at the end. Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman are the 2 stars in it. Yeah, it's amazing. Again, another movie I highly recommend. Probably should have recommended it this week if we like came into this thinking humans, monsters, but I think we chose 2 more prototypical monster movies. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard a lot about Seven, and I'll definitely need to check that out. So for human, I'm going to go with The Shining. This is one of my favorite movies of all time, definitely my favorite horror movie of all time. And a lot of people consider this more a slasher, but I think the idea of Jack Nicholas's character, or sorry, Nicholson's character, kind of becoming the monster throughout the movie, being cursed by the hotel and everything about that was very interesting. And I think that's what made the movie so great.
Well, yeah, it's because in my opinion, it's just about like how he's turning a monster throughout. He's progressing more and more into one by the end, and how like that seclusion is doing it to him. So I think this definitely counts. I wouldn't even count it as really like a slasher film, in my opinion. I think it's definitely more monster and more like haunting movie than a slasher.
Yeah. Yeah. And then for
Okay.
my wild card, I actually texted you about this earlier this week and I told you to watch it. It is Werewolf by Night. It's a Marvel short movie, I guess you could call it. I think it's like 45 minutes, 50 minutes. I really enjoyed this. I'm also a comic book nerd, but I thought it was a really interesting way to go about monsters. You didn't get a chance to watch it, did you?
No, I sadly didn't. I want to though,
Okay.
because I've heard really good
So
things.
I'm going to give you the premise without spoiling anything. So basically it's in black and white, which is just such a cool idea to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
But it's basically a group of bounty hunters and somebody has to take the throne to like the top bounty hunter. So they
Mm-hmm.
basically throw them all into a maze with limited weapons and stuff. And they're told that there's a monster running around. Go fight them. The werewolf isn't the monster. That's all I have to say. So it just like leads down to like multiple different monsters and a bunch of crazy stuff going on. It's really interesting.
That
And
sounds
for a
actually
short
really
film, it
cool.
does a lot. Yeah.
That sounds really cool, actually. I definitely will check that out. I'll have that on my October list of things to watch because I'm trying to watch like a scary
Perfect
movie every night.
Halloween.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect Halloween short.
So I've noticed throughout the draft that you have like multiple letters in your word or like multiple words. All of mine are
Oh,
1-word movies. Nope, Jaws, Sinners, Alien, Seven. And I was about to pick a multiple word movie, but I'm like, I got to finish it off. I got to finish it
yeah.
off with
You got
just
to stick
one.
with it.
And so what I'm going to pick is Gremlins as my wild card.
Yeah. That's a good one. I thought about that one too.
Yeah.
Dang, I
Yeah,
haven't seen that in
Gremlins.
so long.
I think it's like a perfect kind of wild card one too, because I don't think it really fits into many others. Probably box office will. Yeah, Gremlins is really, it's a fun movie. It's not too serious. If you watch this as a kid though, like again, I probably wouldn't recommend this to a kid under 10 because it probably would scare them. But I'm pretty sure I watched it when I was under 10. But yeah, you just can't feed them after midnight. Listen to
Yeah.
one rule. They couldn't do that. But yeah, another childhood movie. You picked a childhood movie. This is definitely one of mine. Cool, cool. So my team is box office Nope, Oscar Jaws, Vampire Sinners, Large Monster Alien, Human Seven, and Wild Card Gremlin.
And I have box office A Quiet Place, Oscar Monsters Inc., Vampire Bram Stoker's Dracula, Large Monster is Godzilla -1, A Human is The Shining, and Wild Card is Werewolf by Night.
We'll see who wins. So thank you all for listening. Next week, we are going to be doing Paul Thomas Anderson movies. Just came out with one battle after another. So really looking forward to this. Everyone, all the podcasts I listen to, they love him. They rave about his movies, say he's like the best living director right now. So we'll talk about it next week. Thank you again for listening.
Thank you.